I'm Max. That's Syb. Maximum News. Sorry we weren't here last week. It was a long weekend. We're back now. Syb's got to go in just a short little while, so we're gonna go through a whole bunch of stories really, really quick. Be thorough about it, but quicker than usual. First of all, some good news to start the show for once. Elden Ring. It has topped Call of Duty in sales. This is relevant because Call of Duty is such a huge franchise, obviously, that every year it tops the sales charts. Well, this is the first time that apparently that has changed. According to the executive director and video game industry advisor of the NPD Group, Matt Piscatella, quote, Elden Ring remains the best-selling game of 22 year to date and has surpassed Call of Duty Vanguard to become the best-selling premium game of the trailing 12-month period ending April 2022, end quote. NPD is an official body that aggregates numbers. I'm not exactly sure what it stands for. And just a couple other very quick things before I get your thoughts on this side. As of March 31st of this year, Elden Ring has sold more than 13.4 million units. You'll love to hear it. Though Call of Duty Vanguard was the best-selling game of 2021, it made 300 million less than was expected. I don't think this is a downward trajectory for the Call of Duty franchise in general. Modern Warfare 2 is coming. People seem to be very excited about that. People still love Warzone. And Vanguard probably didn't appeal to as many people because of the World War II elements and maybe one or two other things that I'm not mentioning. But overall, because of our passion for single-player games, particularly me and Syb, and how great Elden Ring was, it's great to see this level of success for the game contrasted with something like a yearly release like Call of Duty. Syb, what do you think?
This is good, and I couldn't help to wonder, if they had a game kind of like Elden Ring with its combat styles and all that kind of stuff, and then you had big match rooms, lobbies where you and 80 other players or 100 other players would go into this big world, and you're fighting these big monsters together and or maybe even some PvP together, and you're going through and you're trying to tally up points for the I wonder if that would become the new Call of Duty right now.
Wait, are you talking
I really wonder.
Sorry, are you talking like an Elden Ring type battle royale?
Not a battle royale, literally a Call of Duty where you have two factions, and they're both going for points and kills and stuff like that, and big monsters and stuff like that. And if you I'm just thinking I think there's an opportunity for somebody to replace Call of Duty. Now, the window is very short and small, probably, and I don't know how much of that would, because we've had other games that have attempted to do something like that in the past with more traditional, with the swords and stuff like that. I can't remember that one, For Honor, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's an interesting concept. And it's interesting to see what the cultural impact has been of Elden Ring has been on the community and the world and the gaming community as a whole. So it's really interesting to see how they've completely surpassed Call of Duty now, and how long that will hold out, right? Is this just a flash in the pan, or are more people interested in open world exploratory things? And maybe the first person who comes up with again, not necessarily. I don't think battle royale is a good idea, but I think factional, a factional type thing, or a kind of a race thing, where everybody's racing to a point, right? They're trying to get to the capture the big the big kill in the middle kind of thing, and then how other people can affect that. I think we're starting to see right now. We're starting to see how players will. New genres will be created, and what you get is you get one thing first, and then somebody comes up with a couple different spins on that, and then they kind of take it from there.
Right. There was something akin to what you're talking about. Unfortunately, it was more of a battle royale, but I think it was called Hunter's Arena Legends, where you go and try to find these big monsters around the map while also trying to kill people before the red ring of death closes in. If we could have something like that, but without the battle royale element, more akin to what you said, I would absolutely be for something like that. And I would especially be for something like that if it was made by the Elden Ring developers. And then finally, just to the other thing you said, I think that while this is a general flash in the pan, I think we will go back to Call of Duty topping the charts. It does indicate a general trend, I hope, towards a focus by the wider gaming community on single-player games and, being able to...
They do have the option to play with people and to play against people in Elden Ring, and I think that's helped its success. I don't think this would be as successful if it didn't have that functionality.
True.
And so that's where I'm thinking, and I'm seeing that I don't think an existing variant of a big scale, large scale, Elden Ring type game. There's a few examples of that out right now, but not quite there. And I think that if somebody were to create that or comes out with that, like we're seeing so many, indie games just kind of take over. Like we've Vampire Survivors, V Rising. A couple of these other indie games have just been absolutely smashing it recently, and they're smashing it because the gameplay is fun and cool and interesting. And I hope that we see something along this line in the Elden Ring kind of sphere of things that can be done, and I think that'd be pretty cool. And I also think that this boils down to people really liking the ability to really, really customize their characters and really get deep into RPG. This is actually like a really good sign for things like Starfield and other games like that coming out. And let's cross our fingers and hope that comes out both in time and also is actually, good at what it does.
Well, there is good reason to hope that that's exactly what's going to happen. If I recall correctly, Elden Ring is a franchise that From Software has said they want to exploit in other media, and maybe that might, if it becomes popular enough, they'll be inclined to do an Elden Ring too, but we'll see. All right, moving on to this next story. So this was something we planned on talking about last week, but of course it was a long weekend. Take-Two, your favorite, Syb, is planning to release 8 new remasters. Sorry, the train blaring will go away.
Rockstar, I believe it's Rockstar is planning on 8 new remasters.
No, it's Take-Two specifically.
Take-Two, the article was a little not quite
right. Well, here's the thing. So Take-Two Interactive, they're most famous for the 2 publishers that they own, that being 2K and Rockstar, and all the major developers that exist under both of those labels. That's the reason why they were focusing, in the articles that were discussing this, so much on the Rockstar games, because they are the most popular and the most beloved. So, of these supposed 8 new remasters, well, first, they were announced as a part of their recently released financial highlights, so we know this is legit. Obvious candidates for remasters would include games like Red Dead Redemption 1, Grand Theft Auto 4, which we heard a lot of rumblings about when the Grand Theft Auto quote-unquote definitive trilogy released. Bully. I would love to see a remaster of Bully. And maybe BioShock. I'd be down for that too. See, but the problem is we saw what happened with the definitive trilogy. I fear that moving forward, what will happen is sort of what happens with a lot of the Square Enix remasters, where they just completely half-ass everything, release it to the public, and then just make money over fist because people don't do their research. I hope that's not the case. I think you could do something really, really special with something like a Red Dead Redemption 1 remaster, where you use the Red Dead Redemption 2 graphics, which are still gorgeous, but for that original legendary game. But yeah, I think that's a reasonable place to be right now, Syb. I imagine you probably are somewhere similar with that.
Yeah, I made a little joke that the best that Rockstar and 2K can do is just redo all the things they've already done.
Right, because we're not getting Grand Theft Auto 6 for like the next 10 years.
Yeah, that's the joke. Is that despite the fact that everybody wants a ton of products from these guys and expansions and new takes on it, they're like, oh, you want this stuff? We got you. We're gonna get you the same stuff. We're just going to release it basically again. And I am being a little facetious with that. These are remasters or remakes.
Remasters.
We'll see how far that remaster goes. Is it a remaster like they remastered the previous like Grand Theft Auto game, which was, I would say, not very good? Or is it going to be something new, or is it going to be something that is like the next story we're going to be talking about? So so I'll segue into that. Fallout 3 and New Vegas, rumors of remasters are growing.
Right.
And
that's awesome. Who's reporting this?
A lot of people.
Huh.
So the rumors are coming from a bunch of locations, including several pretty predominantly large YouTubers and some streamers and social media peeps. They're hearing rumors. These aren't going to be done by either Obsidian or Bethesda. These are being done by another Microsoft studio that has been given these games to remaster.
Huh.
They're rebuilding it in some new engine, as in like not the original engine that they were in. So they're not just taking the old engine and just modding the blank out of it.
Right. Unreal Engine 5?
So
I'd be down
no. I think when so the rumors are all over the place, and there's nothing that you can trust 100%, because there's been no announcement, no official anything. Nobody knows exactly what's happening. So here's my 2 cents on this. My 2 cents on this is that I have a substantial belief that they might be redoing it with the new Bethesda engine that they've made. So
Sure.
they're basically going to take the assets, because a lot of them can be translated fairly coherently. So there's a ton of stuff that can be translated, and then there's a ton of stuff that you have to just redo. So all of the animation needs to be redone, but you already have the basic pattern of what you want the animations to be. All you have to do is just replicate it, but just way better in the new mocap and stuff like that. So part of me feels that this would be coming out with the new Starfield Bethesda level engine. And that they've been working on this since basically they started working on Starfield. That's one thought. The other thought I had is, all right, maybe they're redoing it in a different engine, and we're going to see if another engine can actually recapture this stuff the same, which I've been saying for a long time. We just did a big podcast on it. You can check it out on the main channel, where I argue that I don't think that any other engine is capable of replicating what the exact feel that you have in the Bethesda engine is. Meaning that, can you go into a different engine and can you just start a different comparable engine? So an engine that can do the same level of graphics, FPS, story, character immersion, character traits, skills, that kind of stuff. Can you take one of those games and can you build a mountain of cheese wheels? Just the player picking up cheese wheels, putting them on top of each other, and then kicking them over and watching them all roll down the hill. Can you do that?
I will say.
The answer is,
go ahead.
Well, the answer is no. There's not any comparable engine. There are other engines where they have a really good physics system, and you can stack stuff and move stuff and do things like that. There's a bunch of them that are out there, but there's nothing that fits that quite the same way. So that's an interesting thing to note. And then the other thing that's interesting to note is that you do have Starfield returning to things like traits and skills and character perks and abilities far more so than any of their previous 4 games, or even 5. I think 5 games, way more so. We're talking going all the way back to pre Morrowind era for depth of skills. And the further you go back in time with Bethesda games, the more advanced and the more impactful certain choices were when it came to character traits, skills, perks, that kind of thing. So now that they've announced that they're going back to this, to me that says, I wonder if they did that at the same time to really to put that stuff into the engine, really make it work, so that they could just transfer that tech over to the people who are doing the remake and have them do the remake, because especially New Vegas, there was a high amount of traits and perks and way more roleplay mechanics than there was in Fallout 3.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sitting here wondering, going, I wonder if that's what they've done. If they've been building this new engine and because it's the way that the engine functions, you can literally just port it over to these guys at this other studio. They can just start transferring the works of Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas into this new engine, and basically they'll have essentially a brand new game. So that's kind of, again, this is all because, again, so many rumors. Take this all with a grain of salt. This is mostly speculation, but it's speculation with some kind of informed background. So so I have a feeling that would be the smartest thing that they could do, because what that would do is, and the little add on to this, they're not, and again, heavily rumored, I can't specify this enough, but I've been hearing rumors that they're going to be shipping both of these at the same time, and you're going to get both of these either on Game Pass, or you're going to be able to buy them as a bundle, and you'll be able to play them from the same game. And it's because it's all built on the same tech, essentially, because a lot of mods that worked for Fallout 3 also work for Fallout New Vegas. It just took a little bit of just a very small amount of work to get it working in one or the other. If that's the case, what they're going to have is they're going to have two games that could be modded from the same sources, from the same modders, modding both games at the same time, if they're essentially one program. And the other thing that this allows them to do, if they were really smart, and this is where I have no insight on this, if they were really smart, they would knit these two stories together more and build more of a bridge between the two stories via characters or influencers or events or something like that. Because, and now this is what I've heard from an official source, is they want to pre-plan and build roads for Fallout 5 and beyond. And we know that Microsoft didn't buy the Fallout license for them to just do another game in 8 to 10 years from now.
Sure.
We know that they are very interested in really making Fallout a mainstay on Xbox. And why? Because there's like 100,000 people playing 76 on a fairly frequent basis.
100,000? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of the best, most popular Xbox games that are being played right now.
Oh man.
And I think Phil is smart enough to realize that if he can get two of the older games with modding capabilities that surpass what the modding store that they have for the mod store for what they have with Fallout 4 officially supported by Xbox, I think they're thinking that we can see an enormous amount of stuff. And if they're doing even more integration with the Steam system into Xbox, that they'll be able to get workshop items really rolling into that as well. So there'll be both paid mods, and then there'll also be free mods via the Steam interface on that. And that's something that could happen in the future. Maybe not for this, maybe not for, probably not for Fallout 4, obviously, but maybe for these two new remakes, if they're going that deep. And then if they're doing more stuff, I don't know. So that's a big question. It's like, what could we see here? Yeah. And the other question is, are we going to see this year? And I think the quick answer to that is probably no.
Yeah, no.
It seems just a little too early to see that out here.
Plus, they want all the focus to be on Starfield for now, and then next year I imagine next year will be sort of like establishing their plans for how they're going to make Fallout even really fully realize its potential. And I think a really good way of going about that is with the way that you sort of laid it out there. Plus, one thing that you neglected to mention, Sib, is the fact that if they re-release Fallout New Vegas with better graphics, because I've been playing it for the first time recently, it does not look good. It's still one of the greatest games ever made, wonderfully written. But if you can put that into the new whatever it is, the new engine, Creation 2, and upgrade the graphics, it will breathe new life into that game. And most importantly, if it becomes popular again, Microsoft owns Obsidian, and we all know what game Obsidian really wants to work on. Fallout New Vegas 2.
Yeah. So and I think that there's room for this. They're trying to grow this stuff as much as they can, and they're trying to bring out this kind of, again, Fallout is one of the most popular products on their platform, and if they can make it their mainstay, and especially if Halo continues to fall in popularity, Fallout might become that new like premier replacement game, and they know Fallout 5 will be an absolute beast, but they probably want to do more. They probably want another Fallout game out within. I would imagine they want another Fallout entry within the next 2 to 3 years, at the very least, and they probably want another one within 4 to 5 years again. And I suspect that the one that they want coming up soon, that's not a remake, something new, is probably going to play off the Fallout TV show.
Sure.
That they've got, that everybody keeps forgetting is a thing, and it's a thing, and it's growing. So this is the most exciting news. But again, this is not exciting news in the sense that you can take this to the bank. This is exciting rumors that are coming, that are circulating, and I know that some of these rumors have been backed by people who are inside the Microsoft sphere of influence and communication.
Cool.
But I can't figure out how much of that is 100% them and how much of that is them talking about plans, hopes, dreams, that kind of thing.
Right. But so, I like Phil Spencer and the guys over at Bethesda, they're not idiots. I think they see the strategic sense that everything that Syb laid out here, and I hope to God that that's the way that they go, even if it's at the expense of my beloved Halo. Let's move on to the next one. We're halfway through, yeah. So we got to go faster.
This one's great. Nintendo has announced that female characters will no longer be allowed to drive after Saudi Arabia invests in Nintendo. Now, this money coming from Saudi Arabia was previously invested with Activision Blizzard. At the same time this money was essentially paid out to them, Microsoft has announced that Blizzard will no longer be writing female characters to be emotional wrecks that cannot in any way, shape, or form lead properly, and that Phil Spencer has also mentioned that he will also respect the Ravensoft union that is currently forming, and that he will not seek to dump the company or swap it out. He thinks that it's a positive move, and he's excited to see it as a as a test for future stuff.
Wait, hold on a second.
Yes, I know you probably noticed something. One or more of those stories is not true.
Yeah, I was about to say one of those isn't true and the other one is true. Like, why are you mixing those two so closely together?
Because it makes so much sense.
Right.
I mean, it really does. It's in a horrifying, terrible way, and in a way that we can poke fun at, but is not actually a laughing matter in most actual scenarios. So no, the Nintendo bit was actually a made up story by the website called, and I want to make sure I get this right, they have basically been writing jokes like this. Now it's called Hard Drive, and they are a website that makes satirical articles about things that didn't happen, but that are kind of like, people will kind of look at and go, wait a second, is this actually true? This can't be true. But it is a little close to reality. And it's a reminder that, yeah, there's places in the world where you can't drive if you're a female, you can't drive. And even if you had a license there before and you transition or something, you suddenly can't drive anymore because you're incapable of driving, according to them. This is not my own opinion, obviously. So this is again a reminder that not everywhere in the world believes in equal rights and fair treatment. And this is kind of funny that Saudi Arabia does put a lot of money into games and has a significant stake in Activision Blizzard. In the past, they have a big stake in a couple other big gaming things, including some money in Tencent and some other stuff. And they do put pressure on studios not to do things that they don't like. So yeah, just a reminder. Yeah. Y'all got to be careful about where that stuff's coming from. Obviously, they haven't gotten their money out of the Activision Microsoft deal yet because it hasn't concluded. So that was also a bit of a tall tale, as they say. But the Blizzard, Phil Spencer saying that he's going to respect the unions, the union forming at Ravensoft. That is true. He did come out and he did state that he will respect it because, as you remember, we covered like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, Blizzard came out and discovered, oh, oopsie poopsie, they were cracking down on people trying to form the union in Raven, and they were doing some union busting things over there, that borders on illegality. Oopsie poopsie, did it again.
Right.
I tweeted out, it's like, Blizzard, why are you so intent on just wrecking yourself every other week with these dumb bureaucrat, C-level vapid ideas that you seem to just be intent on smashing yourself with? And speaking of other things, other people smashing themselves with things, according to Gamesradar, Halo TV series is the best TV gaming experience you will ever get. It's just amazing. I mean, I watched it, and that part where Master Chief sleeps with a Covenant spy, spoiler alert, not
really?
Anywhere
I haven't seen it.
Any concept of the Master Chief I've ever known. Like, just absolutely not even close. Just just me shaking my head going, what on earth was anybody thinking with this storyline? Why did anybody think this was a good idea? And this is the best TV gaming experience that you can get? Really? Really?
Yeah.
Not The Witcher. Like the Witcher series, that was just terrible. I mean, Master Chief having his helmet off the whole time, while he's not doing anything that is even remotely within normal character parameters for him.
Mm.
And then a bunch of other characters being added to the show that it's like, in the first Halo, we had Sergeant, we had all these other characters that were really interesting. Where are any of them, considering that they're supposed to be in the near vicinity of him at this very moment in the canonical series?
Yeah.
Like, why did they do this?
Because I think the ongoing theory is that they had sci-fi writers on board that wanted to do something else, but they had to use the Halo license. And so they just took the concepts within the Halo universe and used them to make their own thing, which I wasn't, I'm not actually against that, and I say that as somebody who is a long-time Halo fan. I worship, like I just said.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah, I think it's fine sometimes if you mess with the lore, but clearly here they just didn't understand what the audience or the soul of Halo, and they're clearly ignorant, the people at Gamesradar, of shows like The Witcher, and especially one particular TV show that both critics and fans seem to both worship, that being Arcane.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I forgot to mention them as an amazing TV adaptation of a game. And the other thing I would like to point out is that they had a blueprint on how to do this properly to begin with the Forward Unto Dawn series that they did, the little internet, basically the short internet series that they did, which largely didn't focus on characters that were well known to the fans at the time. And then the way that they introduced the Chief was pretty awesome, and the characters in that story hit real hard. That was good. Most people were like, "Yeah, this is pretty good," considering the budget and the lack of like stuff that you had. This is a pretty decent, good take on what there was, and it's like that seems to make sense. However, I got to point out that apparently they didn't understand that at all. And they thought, you know what? We're Hollywood. We know what you want better than you do. We're going to give you this steaming pile of garbage. And then Gamesradar has the gall to say that it's the gold standard. It's like,
and
no,
no. Yeah, it's like every form of art is subjective, but there are certain trends that we should collectively recognize, and recognize that if you do write an article like that, you are going to get feedback. Like, let's say, oh, Morbius is one of the greatest comic book movies ever, and you just don't understand it. Yeah, get ready for flack in that regard. Now, speaking of video game TV adaptations, That was a decent transition. Final Fantasy IX.
I did it that way.
Final Fantasy IX, we've known for about a year that it's going to be getting a TV adaptation. That's almost like over 20-year-old game. I played it for the first time recently, and it's probably my favorite Final Fantasy. It's so wonderful, and I've been greatly anticipating to see what they could do with the TV series. People, like fans on the internet, were expecting to get our first look at the new TV show because it was apparently being showcased at the Las Vegas Licensing Expo, which took place between the 24th and the 26th of this month. Well, we're recording this on the 28th. Still haven't seen anything. Don't know what happened. Maybe we were just misunderstanding that we, the public, were going to be able to see it. Maybe they're just waiting to license it, like, the name of the expo, to somebody, and then once that succeeded, then they could start marketing in it. So we're probably gonna have to wait a little bit longer. I'm still excited. Saib, did you ever play 9?
No, I was busy in other places, shooting things.
Right, Half-Life. Yeah,
I was not anywhere near. For a while during when that came out, I was definitely not near technology for a long period of time. So yeah, it was one of the series that I had always missed, and now it's kind of like, should I watch the show first or should I play the game first?
Play the game. Absolutely play the game. Get it on PC, download the Maguri mod. It's absolutely just a magical game. The story holds up immensely today, and it's for like a cutesy game, and especially like this TV show, which is supposed to be, I think, marketed to kids. It's surprisingly mature. It's sort of like a Pixar movie in that way, where it's like kid friendly, but it deals with some mature themes, and it's great. So yeah, that goes out to everybody else listening to this too. Play Final Fantasy IX if you can. All right. EA wants somebody to buy them. No kidding. What? Like, I heard that. What's
So talking about somebody who doesn't have a grasp on reality and good, good stuff. EA is desperate for somebody to buy them, and the head of EA wants somebody to buy them, and then he wants to become part of the deal, become the new head of this new corporation that has both EA and this other stuff in it. And I would have to say, this is the ballsiest failing upward plan I have ever seen anybody pull off. EA has been doing terrible for a long time. Yeah. Their best games were games in which they said, "Well, this isn't going to fly, but I guess because of the demand of the people, I guess we're going to try to give them what they're asking for." And there's a studio who's doing some of it. It's basically one studio that knows what they're doing at EA.
Respawn.
And that's about it. Yeah, Respawn. Respawn's about the only people who know what they're doing there. And I've told the story a lot of times before. When they came out with a Battle Royale.
There's also the guys that did It Takes Two, but that aside from that.
I don't think they... I thought they were just publishing for them. I didn't think they actually owned them.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'm not actually...
I may be wrong on that. Please correct me in the comments down below. I believe that the It Takes Two guys. I was pretty sure that they're still an independent entity, and that EA has just been financing them and being their publisher. But I could definitely be wrong on that. I'm not positive for certain. And the reason for that is that I haven't cared about EA for a while now. Yeah. Like, just as a general, yes, Mooney and I did play they're very good It Takes Two, up to a point that we could before the problems with Origin just got so bad that we had to uninstall it. Like that's how bad their service side was, is that I couldn't even play through to completion this game because their structure, their infrastructure for the game was that bad. And it's shocking how bad it was. We tried to live stream it, and it was like an hour of literally pulling our hair out, trying to get this stuff to function. And I had to turn off so many of my safety procedures on my own computer to get it to function.
Yeah.
Like that's the part again. EA desperately wants somebody to buy them. I think this is a sign that they're not doing good. I hope Respawn can get out from under them, and then EA and all of its stupid corporate execs can go take a flight into the sun, because it's absolutely pathetic what they have to offer. I don't think there's been a good game, again, aside from the ones that we've just mentioned, and the studios that we've mentioned. I don't think there's been a solid, good product coming out of there for years. I really think that people who have been playing their sports games and their other stuff, where they've been putting in this endless treadmill of cash to,
I'll go further than
like,
you, man. I'll say those people are part of the problem. The people that buy those sports games.
Yeah, no, it is part of the problem, and if you're a gamer and your games only contain two of the top selling games from EA, which is their FIFA and then there's the other
Madden,
the Madden series, it's like you're not a real gamer. You're not. You're a sports nut who happens to be able to play some sports games that are designed to remove you from your money. Like, you pay to buy a game that then tells you that you need to spend $500 or north of $500 a month just to be just to play at a mid level. Like, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
It's pathetic. It's a problem. It's always been a problem. EA has always been the people who screwed this over. They were the ones originally behind this whole BioWare shift into microtransactions. They were the ones who threw that into Mass Effect 2. They were the ones who crushed the potentially some of the greatest content that we would have had under Dragon Age. Why? Because it just wasn't marketable enough. It's like, yeah, now look where they're at. They're dying. They have no money. They're losing access to their IPs and their rights left, right, and center. And it's garbage. It's garbage. And don't hold your breath for the next Dragon Age, and don't hold your breath for the next Mass Effect. While I still wish and hope that they become good, I really doubt that they're actually going to be able to follow through with anything, because at this point they've lost 80 to 90% of the people who worked on those previous games.
Yeah, and the people that tend to like those games like Dragon Age, like Mass Effect, there seems to be a greater contingent among the people that like those franchises that are well read on what's going on behind the scenes compared to the sports gamers. So yeah, but I will say one thing that I am particularly excited for, and I'm just gonna, this was at the end of the list, but I'm just gonna bump it up here, is apparently we're getting a sequel to Jedi Fallen Order. This was announced this past week at Star Wars Celebration. It's gonna be called Jedi Survivor. I haven't finished Jedi Fallen Order. I did play a decent amount of it, and it was really, really, really good. It was like a easier form of like Dark Souls type gameplay set in the Star Wars universe. I still need to go back and play it. I look forward to the time where I'll have time to do that. It'll be coming out in 2023. Are you excited about this?
Yeah, no, I think Ash really liked playing the previous game. I think that they are setting up some story beats that look interesting, that are potentially good. And I will say that I think that as so long as any of the C-level employees over at EA stay out of the active decision making at Respawn, I think this game will actually be pretty good. And this is why I hope that EA falling doesn't kill this studio, because I think they have a lot of talent there and they've got a lot of good stuff going there. I think that they should be the people in charge of EA. I think you could put everybody who's at the EA corporate office onto a rocket, fly it to the sun, and let Respawn take over as lead and CEO of EA's general, and you would probably have a bloom of amazing games over the next decade at that company. Yeah. I think everybody that is holding them back are the people at EA's corporate office who thinks they know what they're doing when they really don't. They are quite terrible at their jobs and have been for a long time, which is why they're having all these problems. But yeah, Jedi Survivor looks really good, looks really interesting.
Yeah.
I do wish, the one thing that I wished more than anything is that they did have a character creator for that. I understand there is some lore continuity stuff, but that's never stopped them before. Revan is actually just there's a canon version of Revan. There's a canon version of Mithra Surik. There's a canon version of the it's not canon anymore because they trashed those stories, but the Jedi Knight Academy story.
Right.
There's a canon version of that character as well. And I think that they could have done this and just rolled it how they rolled Mass Effect with, this is the canon version of Shepard. This is the dude. But you can play as I would literally have it as like a room full of your character creator is a room full of Padawans, and and the invaders coming down the hallway, kill you, and you're selecting your character, you're doing the character customization for this child, as this as this dark thing is coming down the hallway, and you're and you pick and then that's the survivor who manages to survive. I think that would just be so cool.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah, so again, I see a lot of potential here. I do really wish that they had a character creator in there, just because I think it would allow people to have a little bit more customization, and I'm always up for customization. I always think that more customization is a better thing. But yeah, having the default version where you just get in and you just say, no, I don't want to hit the character customization. I just want to play default guy, and just have that a single button press. I think that would have been fine too. Just having that step, that additional step there would have just been it would have allowed for some more cool stuff. And that's the cool thing when you write stories like that, where the heroes is just interchangeable with whatever, it always draws more people in. And I think that's a cool thing. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
I tend to agree. Now I'm going to make an executive decision here. We're going to save the Xbox and Bethesda showcase stuff until next week. I think it'd be more appropriate to talk about that closer to the time that it actually happens. Do you want to just talk about the Kotaku stuff and then...
So Kotaku is irrelevant, and they tried to make some jokes at Xbox's expense. Microsoft hit back, which ended up with a lot of people dogpiling onto Kotaku. But hey, at least Kotaku was trending for a while. I don't think it's the trending that you want it to be.
Well, actually, I tend to push back against that. I think it is the type of stuff that they wanted to trend for, because that's the type stuff they trend for anyways. No such thing as
bad press, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like,
well,
why happened? Are they doing this? So they came out, they threw some shade at Microsoft. Microsoft ended up throwing shade back at them. And then there was basically a pile on from a bunch of studios piling on to Kotaku, just kind of dissing them and a bunch of devs. But again, they were just being snarky, and it's you could tell that they took a page out of Wendy's, the people who run Wendy's their Twitter account. I don't know if you know very much about Wendy's Twitter account. It's
no.
So Wendy's, the restaurant, the fast food restaurant, has one of the most brilliant minds in social media running their social media account. They are so snarky. They are so they have made other predominant social media people close their actual Twitter accounts because they got into a spat with Wendy's, and they just got destroyed by Wendy's. And Smug Wendy is a thing that if you look up, it's great.
That sounds hilarious.
There is some great Smug Wendy stuff. But that's what happened here, is they're trying to be kind of smug, but because very few people are actually in their corner, it's kind of weird seeing them try to do this. And then, and it's weird. It's just weird. It's so weird. It's so weird.
I can tell you what I'm going to do right after I'm done talking to you. But just a quick people are confused about what shade was thrown. Kotaku put out an article saying, after years of hype, the Xbox Game Pass burnout is here. They put a link to it on Twitter. And then the Twitter account for Xbox Game Pass replied by saying, tell me you limit yourself to only AAA games without telling me you limit yourself to only AAA games. Right. Oh, man. Some of the people running these accounts are just absolute like ballers and geniuses,
mad lads. I think and again, it's like more companies need to approach social media like this. Like, be a little snarky, be a little funny, be a little cranky, be a little whatever you need to be. Last story that I'll touch on, because again it's very short. Valve says that they've heard the outcry. They're going to fix Team Fortress 2. And they apologized. Apparently, they were way too busy snorting moon rocks off the dolphin bellies as they sailed around the world in their golden yachts,
right,
to realize that there was actually a problem, or that people were still playing Team Fortress 2. So they said that they've realized that this has happened, and that they're gonna try and get this fixed as soon as they can. I am being a little facetious, of course, because as we all know, the average Valve employee is worth like north of $50 million.
Yeah.
So them showing up to do general coding work is not something that is a high priority on their list of activities through the day.
It could be. So they could spend just a little bit on putting together a department that maintains some of these beloved games. But like you said, it's, and like I understand why they are worth $50 million, because when they actually do something, it's state of the art. Like Half-Life Alyx was amazing. The Steam Deck that just came out, people generally seem to like it despite the whole battery life thing. Now, if only they would just learn to count to 3. Yes, I know it's an old meme, but I'll keep repeating it until we get a third entry in any of their major franchises. And hopefully what they're saying here in regards to Team Fortress 2, fixing all the bots, like the huge bot problem where you can't play a match without a bot in there, they'll address it, but, actions speak louder than words. Okay, Syb's got to go. Let's do this outro really quickly. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Maximum News. Sorry we weren't here last week. We will be here again next week when we start to do...
Last week we were celebrating Queen Victoria and her glorious ascent to the realm of Asgard, being amazing as she is and whatnot.
Oh, I didn't know she was a Nordic god. That makes me actually think she's a little bit cooler than, me just not really caring about the monarchy beforehand. Next week we will start to do more coverage for like the part of the year that used to be E3, but there's going to be the showcases, Summer Games Fest. We'll definitely be covering that. Until then, Syb, do you just want to tell people about the main channel real quick before we sign out?
Yeah, check us out on the Triple S League. We've got some stuff coming out this week. We've got a couple deep dives into Starfield and Bethesda. And then we also have, at some point, we have a reaction video coming. Mooney and Ash, whilst I was overseeing them. Yeah, that's a term. Reacted to a very popular and very important video, 2 of them actually, very important to video gaming today, and what exactly is happening there. It needs a little bit more editing, but we decided to react to this because it's actually legitimately important, and Max, you should actually react to this too, and I would love to kind of guide you through that reaction as well, if you're up for it on your own channel there. So this will be interesting. So when you see this reaction video coming out, if you're a fan of Max, don't watch that one from our channel because it'll spoil the experience. Because it's a little different. It's going to be very, very different. So that's something to look forward to. And of course, yes, our game coverage is going to be ramping up very quickly over the summer because it's been such a dry spell for long when it comes to games, and we didn't get a chance to really jump into Elden Ring just due to work and stuff. And if you want to help us, with that, then check out our Patreons too, because if any more of us can swap to full time, that would be greatly appreciated.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. And then you guys can just find me on all the major forms of social media, just at Max Derrat. We'll put links to my stuff and Syb's stuff in the description box below. All right, we got to go. Peace out, guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.